we'll get into administrative load and unload of the shotgun. All right, guys, so using some dummy rounds, we'll talk about administratively loading and unloading the shotgun. So again, this gun is clear and safe. So we'll say that you're starting with a empty gun, completely empty gun. So loading the gun in general, let's say you want to just load the gun, you want to fully load it. You know, you want this gun, whether you're on the range or this is how you're going to keep it at home. I would start with the chamber. So I would hit, again, the action release, because otherwise the action is not going to go back. So I push in on the action release, pull back on the action. I'll take the cartridge, brass back towards the shooter, drop it in the chamber, send it forward, and then I'd check it to make sure it made it in all the way. I mean, obviously you saw it, but just a good habit, especially if you were loading from the magazine tube, which we'll talk about next. Hit the action release, pull it back. I could see the brass at nighttime. If I was loading an unloaded gun in the middle of the night for some reason, I can feel the brass in there, and then push it forward, and it's locked in place. Then I'll take the additional shells, and I'll load it into the gun. All right. Administratively unloading. All right. So again, the only way to get the action open is to either fire it, which is not how you want to unload your loaded gun, or hit the action release. So I'll hit the action release. Again, on the Mossberg, it's back here behind the trigger guard, and on the Remington 870, it's over here in the front of the trigger guard to open it up without firing a shot. So I'll hit the action release, bring it back just a little bit, again pointing the muzzle in a safe direction, not covering anything I'm not willing to destroy. Slowly work it back, and I will catch the round as it comes out. Now, one of the things you got to be careful of is as I do that, there's another round here on the lifter, so I just pull that out with my hands and go ahead and close the action, and then I'll try to come in a little closer here to the camera, see if I can get this on here. But there's these little paws on either side inside the gun, and if you push in on them, you can see that the round just popped out a little bit, and this one there's one on either side, and the lifter's in the way, so it allows you to unload rounds out of the magazine tube. So let me show you that again. So again, there's these little hooks, claws, I forget the proper nomenclature, I think they're shell stops is the right name, and they have them on the right and left side. So I push in on that, get it here, this one's further down in here. Really caught. There we go. Spring was all bound up in there. All right, so try that again. So I'll push in on the shell stop, and you see it popped out a little bit, and it got caught on the lifter. It's kind of hard to see, so if I push down on the lifter and maybe a little downward pressure on the round, it comes out. All right. Something you got to play with. Again, I highly recommend getting yourself some dummy rounds. All right. Now, if you wanted to keep your gun in condition 3, so that's loaded, magazine empty, chamber, you could, again, just verify actions clear and safe. You can just come in and load your magazine tube like that, and just keep your magazine tube fully loaded and keep your chamber empty. Some people prefer that for home defense, especially if they got kids, and then they'll lock it in the safe. Some people keep the gun completely loaded or completely unloaded, locked in a safe, and then the ammo's somewhere else, and maybe the ammo's locked up. Here's the problem. Someone starts kicking in your door. There's a reactionary gap for you hearing the noise, reacting to it, realizing, oh shit, there's someone in my house, running to your safe, unlocking your safe, getting the gun out, unlocking your ammo wherever that is, loading everything. You know, you're going to be dead by the time you need that gun. All right, so, and then the other thing with keeping it condition 3, empty chamber loaded magazine tube, is making the noise of, now some people will say, oh, that'll scare people away. Not a determined bad guy, not a guy, you know, there's people out there that have been shot before, there's people who have been to combat or been in a lot of shootouts in the street as gang members or whatever, or just people who grew up in rough neighborhoods. they're not going to give a shit about you racking the action. The only thing that's going to do is tell them where you are and that you have a gun. So that is not a tactic. I don't give a shit who tells you that. All right. Again, I wouldn't advise keeping it or using that as a tactic. And I don't. Out here. I don't like the idea of a gun you're going to use for home defense not keeping it fully loaded. But some people, you got to do what's comfortable for you. So if just keeping the magazine tube loaded and keeping the chamber empty is what works for you, condition 3 is as it's referred to, just know that you got to grab the gun, work the action, and this is where your pressure check will definitely come into play. Hit the action release. Yep, there's brass, or if it's dark, you can kind of feel the brass in there. Make sure you send the action back forward, and the gun's ready to go. Let me kick that back out for a second. So let's say your gun's loaded in condition 3, and you want to unload it. So you don't even have to work the action until the end. I'll bring the gun back over there again. You just hit your shell stops for each round. They come out, and so on. And show you real quick with the Remington. And then obviously once you got the shells out, you would obviously work the action, check the chamber, physically and visually check the chamber. So again, the chamber is the inside of the barrel where the round gets fed into to be fired. The breech face, which is the front of the bolt where the round sits. Magazine tube, shell lifter, and make sure that there's nothing in there. And it's not a bad habit to, if you're looking at it, check it out, look away, and do it again. All right, just double safety. All right, let me show you with the Remington. So again, we'll just talk condition 3 right now. So put a couple of shells in here. All right, so kind of zoom in here. Hit try to get it for the camera. Hit the shell stop, and you can see again the lifter got the shell gets caught on it. It's a little downward pressure and pressure on the lifter, and oops, the round pops right out. So same thing again. Gonna pop down. Oops. There we go. All right. So until you get all the rounds out, this one has a high visibility orange follower. Green follower. The follower is the part of the basically a little piece of plastic, or it could be steel, inside the magazine tube that the spring is pushing on, that you're pushing the shell in to load it up. So make sure that's good, and then here's the action release bar for the Remington. Push back, make sure the chamber's clear. I physically and visually look in there and feel. I'll look away, and then I'll look back in as well. So that's unloading, administratively unloading the gun.